Running. This is Michael de Laine of the Copenhagen Voice in Gdansk at a conference on cleaning up the Baltic. With me is Jari Luoto, who is ambassador for Baltic Sea issues at the Finnish Foreign Ministry. Jari, can you tell me what the current strategies and organizations are for trying to solve the Baltic Sea's environmental problems?
Well, we need the strategies in order to get political backing for actions that we need in order to save the sea. And we need the strategy with an action plan in order to get concrete results, implementation of the agreed priorities, both at the EU level and then also widely in the Baltic Sea region.
The EU recently published its strategy for the Baltic Sea region. Do you feel that is sufficient?
Well, we are now coming closer to the formal adoption of the strategy, but the process that has preceded the launch of the strategy has been transparent, one that has made it possible for not only the member states in the region but also different stakeholders, organizations, regions, cities to take part in the formulation of concrete actions of what we should do. So I think that this is a very good beginning for the EU to be more active and to help us in saving the Baltic Sea.
But the strategy is not like an EU directive, it's not binding in any way, is it?
It is not binding in itself. What we need to do is to look at the different measures that we need in order to make the strategy and the action plan a reality. And sometimes it might mean that there would have to be development of legislation and you would have to take that into account in future EU programs and in financing. But overall, I think it's more a question of agreeing on certain priorities and then looking at the practical cooperation that we need to have among the countries and different organization authorities, and then see how we adjust the different programs and financing in order to save the sea.
Many of the strategies are developed through discussions between the various countries involved, but not all the countries accept the strategies as they come out. How should this be addressed?
I think that with the EU strategy we are actually adding to the political pressure that we need in order to get all the governments to act. All the governments in the Baltic Sea region have already accepted the Helsinki Commission action plan for the Baltic Sea. And with the EU strategy we hope that we are able to formulate projects that are good for implementing these political commitments. And I think that the EU framework with the framework directives and with the different programs and the financing possibilities offers a good new start for what we would like to do in the Baltic Sea.
Is there a feeling that Russia and Germany, which only have short coastlines, Baltic coastlines, are less focused on the Baltic than the countries which have a larger coastline?
Well, it might be that those countries do not primarily identify themselves as Baltic Sea countries, but if there's something positive already in the process we have been preparing the EU strategy, I think it is the fact that it has made all the countries in the region to focus more on the environment, on maritime traffic, on energy issues and so forth. So I think we have had a good start with the strategy, and I also like to stress that when we are talking about Russia and we are drafting an internal EU strategy, we need to make sure that we have the possibility to enhance our cooperation with the non-EU countries in the region. Russia, their involvement is particularly important, so is the involvement of countries like Belarus and Norway when we are talking about our main aims in the Baltic Sea region.
What about political will? Is there sufficient political will to carry the strategies out, or what is happening there?
I think that that the fact that the leaders of the member states of the European Council gave the mandate to the Commission and are going to come back now to the issue when the Commission is presenting its communication in October, I think it's at least a sign that there is now more political will in the Baltic Sea region to really act on those issues. I'm quite confident that the discussions that we have had and now the launch of the strategy that they will help us in getting the political backing that we certainly need.
But HELCOM goes back to the mid-70s, so there's been a lot of focus on the Baltic and its problems, but nothing really has happened, surely, in that time.
It has been a long road for HELCOM, but it only efficiently started to implement actions in the 1980s, and now we have seen better and better results slowly coming in. One must remember that we have had progress also when it comes to the protection of the marine environment. The HELCOM list of hotspots that they used to have only 10 years ago has all but disappeared. There are only a couple of points, Kaliningrad, just to mention one, that is still as huge a problem as it was at the time, but most of the others we have been able to remove. So there's progress, but the problem is that because the sea is in a bad shape, it takes with some issues like eutrophication really decades to achieve a good ecological state of the sea, which is now an established goal in the new HELCOM Baltic Sea Action Plan of the Helsinki Commission.
But despite all this, there are some people who believe that the politicians are turning a blind eye to the evidence because the evidence is so diffuse. Perhaps we need an oil spillage or maybe a Stern report to draw political attention to this.
I would welcome all measures that make it clearer to political decision makers that we need to do more when it comes to implementation of those commitments that we have made. A Stern report is a very good idea because it shows the value of the sea that is often underestimated.
The question then is who could be delegated to do this? Should it be a company, someone from the region or someone from outside?
Well, I think that there are actually some processes going on which might lead into Stern kind of reporting on the Baltic Sea, and that would certainly have an added value in at the same time as we are moving forward with the EU strategy and with the implementation of the HELCOM plan.
Do you see some of the strategies and policies being developed in the Baltic region applying to other coastal stretches where there are similar problems?
Certainly. I think one of the key lessons is that you need to establish priorities in a joint process, in a joint discussion, and you need to encourage the cooperation that is so much needed among the states and also among all the other actors that make a difference when we are talking about the sea. And these kind of lessons are directly applicable also to other regions, although at the same time the environmental problems that they might have might differ somewhat from the situation in the Baltic Sea.
I understand you've had a delegate from the Caribbean visiting you to ask how you're doing this. What was their real interest?
I think their real interest is to see how they can have stronger links between the countries in the region to look and to solve at similar kind of problems that are common to all coastal or maritime areas in the world. And certainly there are some universal lessons that we can offer, although a Baltic Sea strategy is certainly not a miracle cure that is directly applicable to all the marine environments in the world.
So there's no miracle cure for the Baltic, we have to be patient.
We have to be patient, yes, but I think that we are moving to the right direction, and we are now looking at new tools, new instruments that will give us a cleaner Baltic Sea in the coming decades.
Jari, Luoto, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.